And it's crazy because as bad as things have been going, you really thought it couldn't get too much worse for Kalen DeBoer, but somehow, some way, it has. I'll put it to you like this. This is a cardinal sin as a coach in year one. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you had a great start to your week. Hope all of you had a great Monday. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. Man, oh man, we got a good one for your Monday night. I specifically saved this video and topic for your late Monday night so you could have something juicy to watch before you go to bed. This topic is also so important. It is the one and only thing worth me talking about. So strap in, buckle up, get you a snack, get your popcorn, get your favorite meal you like to eat when you watch a video. Because trust me, I do the same thing. But all right, blah, 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 shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get in. As most of you know, the big, bad, and almighty Alabama. Let me say it again. We're talking about Alabama, the greatest team in college football, or my apologies, the greatest program in college football history, lost to Vanderbilt over this most recent weekend. And I know what you're sitting there saying, well, Matt, you're saying that in a disrespectful tone like Vanderbilt sucks, and, well, I'm saying it that way because they do. Here's a fun fact for you. I got my cold hard facts ready to go. Vanderbilt, before that game against Alabama, their career record against the AP Top 5 was 0-60. I'm going to say that one more time. They were 0, not even 1, but 0-60. 60 straight losses. Never beat a team inside the AP Top 5. You know what they are now? 1-60. Kalen DeBoer's Alabama Crimson Tide was their first victim. Kudos and congratulations to them, but this video is about Alabama and Kalen DeBoer. That also means Vanderbilt has never beat the #1 team in the nation, and is the first time Vanderbilt has beat Alabama in 40 years. But here's what makes all this worse, especially for Mr. Kalen DeBoer. This wasn't a fluke, not by any stretch of imagination. Vanderbilt wasn't running flea flickers, catching the defense by surprise. They weren't running triple handoff reverses, hook and lateral plays, stuff like that. Vanderbilt just straight up said, we're going to run our offense the same 10 to 15 plays. If you can stop us, well, you'll win. If you can't, we're going to win, and that's what happened. In my humble opinion, there's not a shadow of a doubt in my mind, Vanderbilt, the freaking nerds, were better than Alabama on Saturday. The better team won. Did the ball bounce Vanderbilt's way a couple of times? Absolutely, but that's how upsets happen. On Alabama's first drive, Jalen Milroe throws an interception. It popped up in the air right into the Vanderbilt player's arms, takes it in for a pick six, and then Jalen Milroe and Alabama's driving, blindside hit, fumbles the ball. But outside of that, Vanderbilt took the game from Alabama, and Alabama's defense couldn't stop Vandy. And I know what some of you may be sitting here saying, well, Matt, Alabama's coming off of that emotional big-time win against Georgia. It's hard to get up for the Vanderbilt game. Matt, come on, man. You got to admit, it was the perfect and ideal trap game. No, I don't got to admit it. You know why? Because it's the nerds. This isn't me throwing shots or shade at Vanderbilt. It's just reality, and you know this too. Alabama doesn't lose to Vandy. It's not even unacceptable. It's hard to even fathom the thought of that. It's hard to fathom the thought that Alabama was even in a competitive ball game with Vandy. Here's where things get even worse, though. This was clear and evident in the game on Saturday. Maybe some of y'all noticed, maybe some of you didn't. If you want to take a step even farther, it's been this way the entire season. It's just getting highlighted because of the loss. And that's why I say winning solves everything, because when you're winning, nobody cares about the problems. Why? You won. When you lose, it's when everybody starts to talk about them. There's no sugarcoating it, so I'm just going to come out and say it. Kalen DeBoer doesn't have full control of this team. He doesn't have zero control. He has some control, but he doesn't have full. And if you don't have full control of your team as an SEC head coach, you're not even going to be sniffing. You're not even going to be competing. Scratch a national championship. We're talking about an SEC championship. These players, especially on defense, are doing whatever they want. It's undisciplined football. Our defensive guys, especially the defensive backs, were more caught up in talking trash and actually playing football against Vanderbilt. And you could overlook that, I guess, if you were dominating, but when it comes to when that ball snapped, it's still undisciplined football. Why do I bring that up, though? I thought this video was about Kalen DeBoer, and you're right, 100% right. It all points back to him. He is the guy it starts with. Why? Because he's the leader. He's the captain of the ship. Your players in any and every sport, they take after the head coach. It's kind of like follow the leader. And heading into the fourth quarter, Kalen DeBoer did a sideline interview in which he was acting like if you wouldn't have seen the score, you would have thought Alabama was up by 20. No panic in him. He's not chewing out anybody's, oh, yeah, we just got to make some plays. Like, what? Brother, you're losing to Vandy. The whole time during that interview, the only thing I could think of is, man, I wonder what Nick Saban would be saying right now. Heck, he probably wouldn't have done the interview just because how pissed off he'd be that he's losing to Vanderbilt. And you could chalk that up to, well, Matt, he's just being calm, cool, and collected, and I can respect that, and I can understand that. More times than not, the calmest man in the room is the wisest man in the room. But listen to this. Everyone has been saying, oh, man, this is almost as bad as losing to Louisiana Monroe. And what are you talking about? It's worse. Let me explain to you why it's worse, and it's a super simple explanation. When Nick Saban lost to Louisiana Monroe, that Alabama team sucked. They were hot garbage. Nick Saban didn't have his recruits in. It was his first year there, and they weren't even ranked. On the flip side, this Alabama team wasn't just a great team as far as it goes from talent perspective. They're the #1 team in the nation. And I've said this before, this is not my opinion, it's a fact. If you look at the players, the 4- and 5-star recruits, Alabama is currently the most talented team in college football from top to bottom. And you just lost to Vanderbilt, the nerds. To sit up here and say it's embarrassing and it's a shame, that's understating it. No words to describe it. It is one of the worst losses in not just recent memory for Alabama fans. It's one of the worst losses in Alabama history. You can take that to the bank. You can cash it. That's a fact. When you look at the talent and players Alabama has and you compare it to the Vanderbilt players, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. That Vanderbilt loss was nothing short than a coaching debacle and disaster, and you can blame whoever you want. You can blame the defensive players. You can blame the defensive coordinator. But it's Kalen DeBoer's fault more than anyone else's. As bad as a job Kane Womack has done at Alabama early on in his career, this is all Kalen DeBoer's fault. And it's crazy because as bad as things have been going, you really thought it couldn't get too much worse for Kalen DeBoer, but somehow, some way, it has. And here's what I'm referring to. Yeah, Alabama beat Georgia, but you blew a 28-0 lead. That Alabama performance in the second half against Georgia was one of the worst performances I've ever seen out of the Alabama football team. That game itself in the second half was another coaching disaster and debacle, and DeBoer's lucky he got saved by Ryan Williams and Jalen Milroe. And it also helps that Carson Beck turned into one of the worst quarterbacks ever in that game, too. I don't know what he had going on. And you can sit up here all you want and say, well, Matt, Vandy ain't that bad of a team, and that's a different video for a different day. But Alabama don't lose to Vandy, man. Not in football. I'll put it to you like this. This is a cardinal sin as a coach in year one, losing to Vandy. I got a couple of sources that are involved with this Alabama football team. I'm on a couple hours from Tuscaloosa. And there are already conversations being had about Kalen DeBoer's future at Alabama. I want you to let that sink in. And you can believe what you want. I'm just telling you straight up. Kalen DeBoer, like that one meme says, you're walking on thin ice, pal. Let me tell you something. If Kalen DeBoer loses just one more game this year, the conversations will already start. Like, officially start. And here's the kicker with that. I know what you may be sitting there saying, well, Matt, you're talking about a guy's going to be in the hot seat in year one for going 10-2? And yes, I am. Because one of those losses would be to Vandy, the nerds. For DeBoer's sake, he better hope and pray he doesn't lose to another team he shouldn't lose to. Like, oh, I don't know, Auburn. You know, Auburn this year, what are they, like 2-4? Hey, I get it. It's a rival matchup. Anything can happen. But he better pray and hope if he does lose 1 or 2 more games this year, it's to really good teams. That's the only way people at Alabama, they'll be okay with it to a certain extent. And I want y'all to understand, this is why DeBoer's really in trouble. It's not because you lost. It's because of how you lost and what's going on. You didn't show up in the second half against Georgia. The following week, you knew it was a trap game. You was preaching to your team all week it was a trap game, and you still lost. To go on top of that, it's not just the fact you lost. Defense looked like they didn't even care to be out there. You got guys lollygagging on the field, getting pushed around, and oh, let's bring this up. You're wearing a $3 shirt from Dollar General? DeBoer, what are you doing, buddy? DeBoer looked like he went to Dollar General 8 minutes before kickoff and said, all right, yeah, I'm going to buy that shirt and wear it on the sidelines. That's how it looked. I don't think that's the biggest deal in the world, and to tell you the truth, that's really the last problem he should be concerned with. When you combine all that, it's as simple as this. It's just not Alabama football. The fans aren't used to it. The people around the program aren't used to it. Ain't nobody used to it. I ain't giving up on DeBoer. I'm not writing him off, not anything like that. I'm just telling you he messed up big time by losing to freaking Vanderbilt. That was the only thing he couldn't do in year one. He could have went 8-4, lost to 4 really good teams. Nobody would have questioned his job. But Vandy? Come on, man. It's embarrassing. He will forever be known as a head coach at Alabama who lost to the nerds. Many more things I could say. I'll end off the video here. Let me know your thoughts down below. But